I used to think my life was perfect. I had a loving husband, a beautiful son, and a home filled with warmth. We weren't rich, but we had enough. Our marriage wasn't passionate fireworks anymore, but it was stable, safe, predictable. And then, I've ruined everything. It started so subtly that I didn't even notice the moment I stepped over the line. A lingering glance, a touch that lasted a second too long, a joke that felt more intimate than it should have. And before I knew it, I was drowning in something I had no control over. His name is Ryan, my husband's best friend. They've known each other since college, inseparable, more like brothers than friends. Ryan was always around barbecues, game nights, birthdays. I never thought about him that way before, not until recently. I don't even know what changed. Maybe it was the way he looked at me that night when my husband, Mark, left the room for just a moment. His eyes lingered, dark and unreadable. A shiver ran down my spine, and I ignored it. Or tried to dot the first time it happened. I told myself it was a mistake. A moment of madness. Mark had gone on a work trip, and Ryan came over to check on me. And my son. It was innocent at first. We had a couple of drinks, laughed about something stupid. Then the laughter faded, and suddenly we were inches apart. Neither of us pulled away. His lips brushed mine, soft at first, hesitant. Then the dam broke. Hands, breathless whispers. The sheer force of it was like a storm, reckless and consuming. I told myself I would stop it, that it wouldn't happen again, but it did. Again and again. At first, I was drowning in guilt. Lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling while my husband slept peacefully beside me. I hated myself. I swore I'd end it. But then came the waiting, the aching, the unbearable anticipation for the next time I'd see Ryan. And that was when I realized I didn't want to stop. I wanted him, and that terrified me. Tonight, as I sit in my car outside Ryan's apartment, my hands are trembling. My wedding ring feels like it's burning into my skin. I could turn around. I could go home, back to my husband, pretend none of this ever happened. Instead, I open the car door. Ryan is waiting for me inside. I know because he sent a single text 5 minutes ago. Come up. I walk into the building, heart pounding. The elevator ride feels endless. By the time I reach his door, my breath is shallow. I don't knock, he's already opening it, as if he was waiting right behind it. His eyes meet mine, dark and intense, and just like that, the guilt is gone. I step inside, the moment the door clicks shut behind me. A wave of heat crashes over me. It's not from the room, it's from Ryan. He stands there, watching me like he's afraid I might vanish if he blinks. We don't speak. Words would only ruin this. He takes a step forward, and my breath catches. The air between us is thick, with something dangerous, something neither of us can control anymore. My wedding ring feels heavy, but it's the last thing on my mind when Ryan reaches for me. His hand brushes against my arm, his touch setting fire to my skin. I should turn away, I should run. But instead, I tilt my head up, and suddenly his lips are on mine. It's desperate. It's reckless. It's wrong, and I don't care. My fingers clutch at his shirt, pulling him closer. His hands slide to my waist, gripping me like he's afraid to let go. It's not just passion, it's something deeper, something terrifying. When we finally break apart, I'm breathless. His forehead rests against mine, our chests rising and falling in sync. "This is insane," I whisper, my voice shaky. Ryan lets out a quiet, humorless laugh. Yeah, it is. But neither of us moves away. A part of me wonders how we got here. How we went from being acquaintances, just my husband's best friend, to this. Ryan pulls back slightly, his eyes searching mine. "Do you regret it?" His voice is hoarse, almost hesitant. I should say yes. I should tell him this was a mistake, that it can't happen again. But lying to him would be lying to myself. I shake my head, slowly. No. His lips part slightly, like my answer caught him off guard. Then, something shifts in his expression. Relief, desire. Maybe both. "We should stop," he says, but his hands tighten on my waist, betraying him. "Do you want to?" I ask. His silence is my answer. We both know we've crossed a line we can't uncross. I glance at the clock on the wall. It's late. Too late. Mark is at home, probably asleep, completely unaware that his wife is here, in his best friend's apartment, losing herself in something she can't control. Reality crashes down on me like a tidal wave. "I should go," I mumble, stepping back. Ryan's jaw tightens, but he nods. Yeah, you should. But neither of us moves. A heavy silence settles between us, filled with all the things we can't say out loud. I reach for the doorknob, my hand hesitating. If I leave now, will I be able to stay away? Or will I find myself right back here, trapped in this impossible situation? Ryan exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. This isn't just some fling, is it? His words send a chill down my spine because they echo the thought that's been haunting me. This isn't just lust, it's more. And that's what makes it so dangerous. I finally manage to open the door, stepping out into the dimly lit hallway. I expect Ryan to let me go, to shut the door behind me and end this madness. Instead, he catches my wrist. I freeze. His grip is firm, but gentle, his thumb brushing against my skin in a way that makes my heart stutter. Be honest with me, he murmurs. Are you going to come back? I should say no. I should walk away. But the truth is, I don't know how to stay away. My silence is answer enough. Ryan nods once, like he already knew. Then, slowly, he releases my wrist. I walk away, but as I step into the elevator, my heart hammering in my chest. I already know the truth. This isn't over. Not even close. Asterisk, I drive home in silence. No music, no distractions. Just the sound of my own shallow breathing and the faint hum of the tires against the road. My hands grip the wheel too tightly. My knuckles pale. I should feel relieved that I left before it got worse, before I lost myself completely. But deep down, I know that's a lie. It's already too late. By the time I pull into the driveway, my stomach is in knots. The house is dark, except for the faint glow coming from the living room window. Mark must have fallen asleep on the couch again. I sit in the car for a few moments, trying to gather myself, trying to slow my racing heart, but my body still burns. Where Ryan touched me. My lips still tingle from his kiss. I take a shaky breath and step out of the car. Inside, the house is eerily quiet. The only sound is the soft buzz of the television. And there he is, my husband, lying on the couch, one arm draped over his face. His breathing slow and steady. Guilt crashes over me like a wave. I stand there for a moment, just watching him. He looks peaceful, oblivious. He has no idea his best friend just had his hands on his wife. No idea that I nearly threw away everything we built together for something I don't even understand. I swallow hard and move toward him. My fingers hover over his shoulder, hesitating. Should I wake him? Should I tell him? Anything? No. I pull my hand back. Instead, I grab the blanket from the back of the couch and gently drape it over him. He stirs slightly, but doesn't wake. I turn off the TV and slip upstairs, my body heavy with exhaustion. Lying in bed, I stare at the ceiling, my heart still pounding. Every time I close my eyes, all I see is Ryan. The way he looked at me, the way he touched me, the way his voice trembled when he asked if I'd come back. I hate myself for wanting him. But I do the next morning. I move through the house like a ghost. Mark is cheerful, oblivious. He kisses my forehead when he leaves for work, ruffles our son's hair, tells me he'll be home late. I nod, forcing a smile. Okay, be safe. He doesn't notice my voice is different, doesn't see the way. My hands shake when I hand him his coffee. Ryan texts me that afternoon. Ryan, are you okay? I stare at the message for too long before I reply. Me? I don't know, Ryan. I can't stop thinking about you. A lump forms in my throat. Me? Please don't say that, Ryan. Why not? It's the truth. I squeeze my eyes shut. I should tell him we need to stop. That we can't do this anymore. Instead, I type. I can't stop thinking about you either. I regret it the second I send it, because I know exactly what it means. That night, I lie to my husband for the first time. I'm going to the store, I say. Grabbing my keys, Mark barely looks up from his laptop. "'Kay. Need me to get anything?" I shake my head. No, I won't be long. I don't go to the store. I go to Ryan. His apartment feels different this time. The tension is heavier. The space between us crackles like a live wire. We don't talk. We don't need to. The moment the door shuts, he's on me. Lips, hands, desperation, asterisk. This isn't just about lust anymore. It's something deeper, something terrifying. And I have no idea how to stop. Asterisk, the guilt should be unbearable. It should consume me, suffocate me, force me to stop. But it doesn't. As I lay in Ryan's bed, tangled in sheets that don't belong to my marriage, I feel something else entirely. A twisted sense of relief. A dark, forbidden happiness. I've never felt this alive before. Ryan brushes a strand of hair from my face, his fingers lingering against my cheek. His eyes search mine, and for a moment, I think he's about to say something heavy, something dangerous. But then he just exhales, pressing a kiss to my forehead. "You should go," he murmurs, his voice thick with something unspoken. I know he's right. Mark is at home. My son is asleep in his bed. I don't belong here, and yet I don't move. Ryan studies me, waiting. "You're scared?" he finally says. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Of what? He smirks, but it's laced with something sad. Of how much you want this. I don't answer, because I know he's right. Instead, I slip out of bed, gathering my clothes, my dignity, what's left of it. Every time I walk away, I tell myself it's the last time. Every time, I know I'm lying. When I get home, the house is dark. The kind of quiet that makes my stomach twist with unease. I lock the door behind me, stepping lightly as I make my way upstairs. But as I reach the bedroom, a voice stops me in my tracks. "Where were you?" I freeze. Mark is sitting on the edge of the bed, the glow from his phone casting sharp shadows across. His face, he doesn't look angry. He looks curious, too curious. My pulse quickens. "I told you I went to the store." He tilts his head slightly. "Really?" He lifts his phone, showing me the time. It's almost midnight. I force a laugh, hoping it doesn't sound as unnatural as it feels. I got distracted, took a drive to clear my head. Mark watches me carefully. Too carefully. My stomach churns. "Is everything okay?" he asks. "You've been different lately." Different. He knows something is off. Maybe he doesn't suspect the worst not yet, but the seed of doubt is there. I swallow hard and force a smile. "I'm just stressed. I'll be fine." He holds my gaze for a second too long before nodding slowly. "All right," I exhale, crisis averted. For now. The next few days pass in a blur of guilt and longing. I try to focus on my family, on being the wife and mother I'm supposed to be, but Ryan is always there, lingering in my mind, pulling me back in. And then, just when I think I might have a grip on reality again, he ruins it. "Ryan, I need to see you." I hesitate, I should say no, but I don't. Single quotes me. When Ryan, now I meet him in a quiet parking lot on the edge of town. It's late, too late. The streetlights cast long shadows, the air thick with something I don't want to name. Ryan is already there, leaning against his car, hands shoved in his pockets. He looks tired, worn down. I step closer. "What's wrong?" His jaw tightens. "I can't keep doing this." Something in my chest twists painfully. "Doing what?" Ryan lets out a humorless laugh. "Pretending like this is nothing." I blink. "Ryan, I'm in love with you," he blurts out. The world tilts. I suck in a sharp breath. My mind scrambling to process what he just said. No. He wasn't supposed to say that, because now I have to say it back. And I do. "I love you too." I whisper. And just like that, we're completely and utterly doomed. The words linger in the cold night air between us, too heavy to take back. Ryan loves me, and I love him. Saying it out loud feels like detonating a bomb. It's the explosion ringing in my ears. There's no more pretending, this is just physical. No more convincing myself that I can stop, because now, it's everything. Ryan steps closer, his eyes filled with something raw. "What are we gonna do?" His voice is barely a whisper. I shake my head, my throat tight. "I don't know." He exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. "We can't keep sneaking around. I can't keep looking your husband in the eye, knowing He stops himself, his jaw clenching. "I can't do this anymore, not like this." I feel it too, the crushing weight of our choices pressing down on me, the guilt, the fear, the inevitable destruction waiting ahead. But then, he reaches for me, and all of it fades. His hands find my face, his fingers gentle, almost desperate. "Tell me you want this," he pleads. "Tell me you want me." I close my eyes, swallowing the sob that threatens to escape. "I do," I whisper. "God, I do." Ryan presses his forehead against mine, his breath shaky. Then leave him. My entire body tenses. The world around us stills. Leave Mark. Leave my husband. My son's father. The life I built, I should say no. I should. walk away. Instead, I say, give me time. Ryan's hands tighten on me, his voice thick with emotion. Promise me. I hesitate for only a second. I promise. But promises are easy to make in the dark when no one is watching. The next morning, reality slams into me like a freight train. Mark kisses me before leaving for work, tells me he loves me, asks if I want to plan a weekend trip with our son. His voice is warm, his eyes filled with trust, and I feel sick. How did I let it get this far? How did I become this woman, lying to the man who has given me everything? I spend the day trying to convince myself that I can stop, that I have to stop. But when my phone vibrates, my heart betrays me. Ryan, did you mean it? I stare at the screen, my hands trembling. Me. Yes, Ryan. Then don't make me wait too long. I close my eyes, exhaling shakily. What the hell am I doing? That night, Mark comes home late, exhausted but smiling. He wraps his arms around me in the kitchen, pressing a kiss to my neck. I missed you today. The words make my stomach churn. Missed you too, I murmur, hating myself. He pulls back slightly, studying my face. You okay? I force a smile. Yeah, just tired. Mark watches me a moment longer, then nods. I get it. Let's take that trip, okay? Just us. We could use some time away. I hesitate. A weekend away. With him, with my husband. A chance to fix things. To pull myself back before it's too late. Okay, I say. Let's do it. Mark grins, squeezing my hand. Good. I'll book everything tomorrow. He looks so happy. So certain that we're okay. And for the first time in weeks, I consider telling him the truth. But then my phone vibrates in my pocket, and I know I never will. The weekend trip is supposed to be a reset, a chance to breathe, a chance to remember what I once felt for my husband. But all I can think about is Ryan as we drive up the winding mountain roads. Mark hums along to the radio, his fingers tapping against the steering wheel. Our son is in the back seat, babbling about the lake, about fishing, about s'mores. It should be perfect. It should be enough. But it isn't. Because my phone is burning a hole in my pocket. Because every time I close my eyes, I see Ryan. Because I already know this is a lie. The cabin is beautiful. Nestled among towering trees, the lake stretching out like glass beneath the setting sun. Mark wraps his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. Feels good, doesn't it? He murmurs. I force a nod. Yeah, but it doesn't. That night we sit by the fire, the warmth wrapping around us. Mark laughs at something. Our son says, ruffling his hair, and my heart clenches. I should be here, present, focused, but my mind is miles away. My phone vibrates. I shouldn't look, but I do. Ryan, I can't do this anymore. If you're not leaving him, I need to let you go. My stomach drops. I swallow hard, my hands clammy. This is it. The moment I choose, the moment I either walk away from everything I've known, or stay and break my own heart. I type, please don't do this, Ryan. Then tell me, are you leaving him? I stare at the screen, my breath shallow. I look at Mark, at my son, at the life I built, at the life I destroyed. Then I do the only thing I can. I turn off my phone. The days pass slowly. But something inside me has changed. Ryan doesn't text again, and I don't reach out for the first time. I force myself to be present, to hold my husband's hand without flinching, to kiss him without guilt poisoning my lips. But I feel it. The emptiness, the aching loss. Ryan was never mine to keep. And I was never meant to have him. Weeks go by. Life settles, or at least I pretend it does, until one night, Mark comes home late. He's quiet. Too quiet. I'm washing dishes when I feel him watching me. I turn, my stomach twisting. Everything okay. His jaw is tight. His eyes unreadable. I need to ask you something. I grip the counter. Okay. Mark steps closer, his voice barely above. A whisper. Are you having an affair? The world stops. I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. Mark exhales shakily, like he already knows the answer. Just tell me the truth. I realize there's nothing left to lie about. The air between us is suffocating. Mark stands there, his expression a mix of exhaustion and quiet devastation. Say something, he murmurs, his voice eerily calm. But I can't, because what is there to say? That I never meant for this to happen, that I wish I could take it back. That I love him, but I love someone else too. It doesn't matter. None of it matters now. The damage is done. Mark exhales sharply, shaking his head. I already know the answer. His voice cracks, and it's like a knife twisting in my gut. Mark, who is he? His eyes flicker with something dangerous. I freeze. If I tell him the truth, if I say Ryan's name, I shatter everything between them. The friendship, the trust, the years of loyalty. I can't do that. But Mark isn't stupid. His face changes. Before I can even think of a lie, "Oh my God," he whispers. His whole body stiffens. "It's Ryan, isn't it?" Panic surges through me. "Mark, please," he laughs. A broken, hollow sound. "My best friend." He shakes his head, rubbing his hands over his face. "You could have picked anyone and you chose him." Tears blur my vision. "I didn't choose this. It just happened." His voice sharpens. "That's what you're gonna say?" Silence. His jaw clenches. "How long?" I press my lips together, my hands trembling. "How long?" he repeats, his voice deadly quiet. I swallow hard. "A few months." Mark closes his eyes like the answer physically hurts. "A few months," he echoes. "So all this time, I've been looking at you, sleeping next to you while you were with him." The disgust in his voice makes me flinch. "I wanted to stop," I whisper. "I tried, clearly not hard enough," he snaps. The words slice through me like a blade. Mark paces the kitchen, his hands on his hips, breathing hard. He looks like he might punch a hole in the wall, or break down completely. "Do you love him?" His voice is raw. I freeze, my breath catches. This is my last chance to fix this. To say no, to lie, but I don't, because we're past that now. I whisper. Mark lets out a slow, shaking breath. And in that moment, I see it as heartbreak. The way something inside him shatters. He nods. Just once. "Okay?" And then, without another word, he walks out the door. Hours pass. Maybe more. I sit at the kitchen table, staring at the empty space where my husband stood, where my marriage unraveled in real time. I should go after him. I should fight for him. But I don't move, because deep down, I know this is the end. Then, my phone vibrates on. A name flashes across the screen. "Ryan." I hesitate. Then, with a shaky breath, I pick up. My hands shake as I press the phone to my ear. "Ryan," I whisper. "Is it over?" His voice is tight, urgent. I close my eyes, a lump forming in my throat. Mark knows. Silence. Then a slow exhale. What did he say? I glance at the door, half expecting Mark to walk back in to undo all of this. But the house is quiet. "Empty," he left, I whisper. He just walked out. Ryan is quiet for a long moment. "Are you okay?" I let out a hollow laugh. Because how could I be? It's detonated. My entire life. Ryan hesitates. "Do you want me to come over?" I should say no, but I don't. "Yes," I whisper. "Please." 15 minutes later, he's standing in my doorway. For a second, neither of us moves. The reality of what we've done hangs between us like a thick fog. Then, slowly, Ryan steps inside. His arms wrap around me, pulling me close, and for the first time tonight, I break. Tears spill down my cheeks, my body shaking as I bury my face against his chest. "I ruined everything," I choke out. Ryan's grip tightens. "No, we just need time." I pull back, looking up at him. Time for what? Mark isn't coming back. My marriage is over. My family is broken. My voice cracks on the last word. Ryan cups my face, his expression pained. "I love you." I shake my head. "Love isn't enough, Ryan. Look where it got us." He flinches, but he doesn't let go. "I don't care how messy this is. I just want you." I wish I could believe that makes this okay, that it means we can be happy. After everything we've done, but deep down, I know better. The next morning, Mark comes back. I hear the front door open, and my heart lurches into my throat. Ryan is still here, sitting on the couch. Panic surges through me. "You need to go," I whisper. Ryan tenses. "I'm not leaving you alone. Ryan, please." The sound of Mark's footsteps makes my chest tighten. Then he appears in the doorway. The moment his eyes land on Ryan, something inside him snaps. "You're here." His voice is sharp, filled with rage. In my house, Ryan stands slowly. Mark, listen, but he doesn't get the chance. Mark lunges, shoving him backward. Ryan stumbles, but doesn't fight back. I didn't want to hurt you, he says, his voice strained. Mark laughs, but there's no humor in it. Too late for that. His gaze flicks to me, filled with something colder than anger. You chose him, he says. My throat tightens. Mark, no. He shakes his head. I don't need to hear it. His voice is eerily calm now. Too calm. Ryan exhales. I love her. Mark clenches his jaw, looking at me. And do you love him? The question hangs in the air. I know the answer, but saying it out loud feels like the final nail in the coffin. I swallow hard. Yes. Mark nods slowly, his eyes unreadable. Okay. Double quotes then. He turns and walks away. This time, I know he's never coming back. The divorce happens quickly. There's no dramatic courtroom battle, no heated arguments. Mark doesn't fight me on anything. Kay just signs the papers and moves on, but the damage is done. Ryan and I try. For a while, we try to build something from the wreckage, but something is missing. The weight of what we did never really goes away. The way people look at us, the way Mark's absence lingers like a ghost. Love isn't always enough. And one day, Ryan and I both realize the truth. What we had was never meant to last. Years later, I see Mark again. We're at a coffee shop, both reaching for the same sugar packet. Our eyes meet, and for a moment, time stands still. He looks good. Happier. Hey, he says. Hey, he says. Hey, I whisper. We stand there for a second, an entire history between us. Then he smiles. A small, quiet smile. I realize he's forgiven me. Maybe not for what I did, but for who I was. And somehow, that's enough. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought? Or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments side. Love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.